Over 46,000 lives lost to suicide. For every one suicide, there were 27 attempts, and even more people had thoughts about suicide, meaning suicidal ideation. And now that's actually a fairly common human experience to have thoughts about suicide. Our mind goes off on a variety of thoughts a whole day long, and it's actually not uncommon for someone at some point in their life to experience a suicidal thought. The big difference is, when it does happen, what do you do with it? Do you get scared and stuff it deep down inside of you, never telling anyone or making any meaningful life changes to decrease the risk of severity? Do you follow it, expand on it, make arrangements and act on them? Or do you recognize it and work through it with somebody? Openly talk about what's been on your mind and figure out what might be contributing to suicidal thoughts in order to make healthy changes in your life. In order for the latter to occur more regularly, in order for all of us to start working through thoughts that come up in our mind, we need to create environments and opportunities for us to feel safe and supported to do so. This can be done by training teachers, medical providers, employers and coworkers or community members, and even our youth on how to support someone who is showing signs of suicidal risk. Talk more publicly about mental health concerns and create television shows, radio shows, music, film, and art that humanizes these struggles and demonstrates how to address them in a healthy and in effective ways. I'm Dr. Alexis Moreno. I've provided psychotherapy to people of all ages working through suicidal thoughts and past attempts in a variety of clinical settings, community clinics, psychiatric hospitals, and even forensic settings while people are transitioning from incarceration back into the community. I've also provided in-person and virtual workshops to help people learn how to effectively connect with others and prevent suicide in their workplace, school, community, and home. In order to make a significant and permanent change in preventing suicide, we need to address it from all aspects of our society. So on our show today, we have singer-songwriter Alex Boye, who took his music and platform to the next level. Alex created a beautiful song and moving music video that brought tears to my eyes, Bend Not Break. As a psychologist watching it, my heart was just touched that someone with such amazing talent used his time, gifts, and resources to create such an influential piece for the world. Alex and I are talking everything about suicide prevention and music. What does it take to create meaningful music, and how does dedicating your creation to support our society impact yourself as a musician and all of those who listen and watch your music videos? Alex and I are going to combine our skill sets to explore a creative form of suicide prevention through songwriting and the music industry outreach.
Welcome to Wit and Reason, hosted by psychologist Dr. Alexis Moreno. Dr. Moreno brings her expertise to providing smart and practical explanations on human behavior by interviewing diverse health experts regarding today's ever-evolving life and culture, turning social science and research into relatable, accessible, and useful information you can use. Listen now as Dr. Moreno brings a little bit of positive mental health to your day.
And on today's show, we have Alex Boye. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do?
Yes, so it really, I'm pretty much a musician. That's what I do. But for many years, I always thought that there was so much more. And what I mean is that, for so many years, I've been doing music and never really found much satisfaction in it, even though that's the only thing I really want to do. Until I started getting involved and learning about how music can affect our minds and our thoughts and our character and our spirituality and, even the way that we conduct ourselves. Yeah. And I started studying more about that. And I had an amazing experience when I was 16 years old dancing in a nightclub. And I was kind of suicidal and having just really bad time. Oh. And there was one song that literally changed the whole trajectory of my life. And the things that I was going to do, which were pretty dangerous for me, I decided not to do. And I felt like it was like 10 years worth of therapy in like 3 minutes. Wow. And I totally forgot about it. But as the years progressed, I started to realize what I could really do with music. Because I remember thinking, if I could do what that song did to me, to somebody else, then I'd be finding way more satisfaction out of my music. And so that's kind of what's been happening these last few years.
Yeah.
And it's been exciting.
That's amazing. And, you speak to this passion that you have for music, but as far as using music in your career, it needed to be something that was more purposeful.
Yes. That's the word.
Yeah. To have more purpose. And so it seems like you've really wanted to make sure that what you create has a really positive impact on your listeners and maybe even society as a whole.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing? Even there are other people who knew this way before me. Even in the most unsuspecting places, I was listening to a rapper speak, and the rapper was saying that he doesn't ever want to sing about anything that he never wants to go through. So he used to talk about how he used to sing about gangbanging and doing all kinds of crazy stuff in the club and all that kind of stuff, and getting himself, with the law and all that kind of stuff, and he loved it. And he started to realize that everything that he was rapping about started to happen in his life.
Wow.
So then all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh, I have so much more control in my life now. Why do you think a lot of rappers say, yeah, I got the money, I got the cars? Because they don't when they start off, but they learn this and they understand that, oh, well, maybe if I can rap about this kind of stuff, I'll end up getting it.
Oh, interesting.
And
it's kind of like The Secret,
was powerful. Yeah, and it was powerful, and that's what started happening. But then there were other rappers who started becoming more conscious and saying, I don't want to talk about what I have, I want to talk about how I want to feel.
Right.
Then you have these high conscious rappers that start rapping about how amazing they feel, how unstoppable, how invincible, how, nothing gets them down, you know what I mean? And they've come out of the ghetto, come out of depression and stuff like that. And then they start to see like, oh my gosh, And then not only does everything happen to them, but it also happens to the listeners.
Right. It works both internally and externally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it seems like you've come to appreciate that as well. I mean, it's interesting how we have such powerful moments in our life, like our adolescence, and then we just kind of move on with life and kind of forget about it. And it somehow still comes back to us. And like the time you mentioned when you were about 16, and you recalled that there was a particular song that within those 3 minutes had such a powerful impact on you to the point where, it switched your mindset from considering engaging in suicidal behaviors to really taking another turn and living a healthy life.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. And so is that what motivated you to create your song Bend Not Break, or were there other factors involved?
Yeah, that was really it. So what happened is that I was working on an album with Randy Jackson, Mr. American Idol. Yo, little pitchy dog, dude, right? We became really, really good friends, and he's amazing. He would sit in the studio with me while I'm recording this album for 10 hours straight on every song. I mean, this is one of the busiest guys in the world. And I was just so grateful, and I learned so much from him. And I remember once we were recording this last song, and we'd finished it, and then, that was it for me. But we had 3 hours left, and it was early, but my voice was so tired that I thought, I'm just going to leave it. So I went to the restroom. We call it the crapper in England, sitting on the crapper.
Yeah.
And I just had this really, really strong impression that came to me that I needed to do one more song. And it was late, and I was feeling really guilty because I didn't want to go back in and tell the guys. They'd all, we got the engineer turning off all the lights and everything, turning off the console and all the computers, and, they're calling Ubers and stuff like that, And Randy had already left. And so to the guys that were left, I said, it was Jordan Powers, who was a songwriter, who was co-writing with me, and the engineer. And I said, guys, we got to do one more. They're like, what? I said, I can't explain it, but I just feel we got to get this one more song.
Wow.
And then so, I rushed back in the studio. I said, look. So they said, well, what is it about? And the only thing I could think about was I said, picture this. I want you to imagine you're standing in front of a person that is on a bridge that's about to jump. So you're supposed to talk him off the ledge, or her. What would you say?
Yeah.
And they all just looked at me, and I'm like, that's what I want this song to be about. And then all of a sudden, one of the guys who was the engineer, he just lost it. He just like started bawling.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, are you okay? And he said, this is crazy that you're saying this. He says, this day is the 1 year anniversary of my best friend taking his life.
Really?
And he was my lifeline. And I don't feel I was around for him. And, you know, he's just like, what could I have done? He kept questioning himself. And that day, that's what he was doing again. He was reliving the whole experience. And this was supposedly one of the strong ones. Mm-hmm. This was the guy that everybody went to whenever they had problems, not realizing that this guy had his own situations.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy for us to kind of have this perception of how people are. Oh, yeah, they laugh all the time and they have fun. They dress really good and they're always on point with what, you know.
They have it all together.
Like it's like none of that means a blasted thing. That's what I'm learning. Mm-hmm. That's what doesn't mean a thing, man. I don't care how pretty you are. I don't care how well kept you are. I don't care how many degrees your afro's got. That has nothing to do. Well, when it comes to suicidal thoughts, it is no respect for a person.
Right.
They don't care who you are. You don't care what side of the tracks you're from. And that's what I learned, you know, really for the hard way. And so anyway, I told him, well, we started writing the song. We wrote this song within an hour.
Wow, that same night?
You know, I look back and I'm like, that's not me writing. I don't even write like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm talking to the songwriter as well. And she's like, holy cow. Joan's like, oh, my gosh, you know.
It just flowed right through you guys.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a listen to what they created that long, late night. Here is Bend, Not Break by Alex Boye.
Before you go, can I ask you a question? When's the last time you thought life's worth living? You may think there's only one way out. Can't see beyond the way you feel right now. But if you just bend and not break, if you just bend and not break, oh, at least not today. Ooh. Now I know that this permanence is tempting, that even on a good day life feels empty, but someone's gonna miss you when you're gone. There's so much more to do if you hold on. If you just bend and not break, say you just bend and not break. Oh, at least not today, not today, not today. Oh, at least not today, oh, not today, not today. Hold on.
Listen, we are not the things we have done, but the things we have overcome. Just take it one day at a time, because your work here is definitely not done. You know.
If you just bend and not break, oh, if you just bend and not break,
What a powerful song.
The song is called Bend Not Break, and I got the idea from a quote that I saw many years ago, and it was just about how powerful a tree is, no matter how strong the wind is. So it's like the deeper the roots of the tree, it can come through. It can withstand the most mighty storms.
Right.
And because the roots that are deeper, it strengthens the tree. And so I was basically through the song. My metaphor for it is that us developing roots of like strong self-belief and self-esteem and self-knowing and just knowing that whatever happens to us, we can withstand it. So no matter how strong the problems and the storms come, because they will come, that you will just bend within the storm, but you will never ever break.
That's absolutely right. And you know what, Alex? That's exactly what we teach our clients or patients who are in mental health treatment. Yeah, is to build up that tolerance for those challenging times, for experiencing those really uncomfortable emotions. And so the title of your song, Bend Not Break, is just so perfect for the conversation. That's exactly what
thank you.
That's exactly the same language that we're using in mental health treatment as well.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we even use a tree analogy too. I could visualize it in my head. This picture of this tree that's just bent, like almost completely parallel to the floor, as an example of like how much that even though there's been so much wind, that this tree is still rooted and grounded, and still surviving.
Oh my gosh! Can I share with you something that I was just going to say? Really, there's something that really changed me as well, and it was something I heard just recently. It was from remember after. It would seem like consecutively you had Anthony Bourdain and then Kate Spade, that we lost, right?
Right.
And this was what, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that? I can't remember, something pretty recent.
Pretty recent, yeah.
I remember something came across my timeline on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, and it was of Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. And she said something that hit me really, really hard. And she said that she had gone through many experiences like that. Even here's her, pretty lady and very well kept together, and just everything. People look up to her and respect her. And here was the same lady, she's on TV and famous. And here's the same lady that was saying, "Oh, you have no idea. I mean, I had suicidal ideations for years."
Wow. Yeah.
And this is even while I was at the top of my career. And then she said, there's some things that she learned about mental illness for herself. And she said, and I want to read it to you. She said, we should take care of our mind and our spirit in the same way we do our body.
Yep.
Like, we go to the gym every single day, right? Every day we have to go to the gym. Right? Well, most of those guys are big up. But even if we don't, at some point we start feeling guilty, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For some reason, right? Even if we don't, right?
We brush our teeth every day.
Right, exactly. Same thing. You don't brush teeth every day, you feel guilty, and then you start spanking, right? And then it's like, but with the suicides of Kate and Anthony, she says it brought up feelings of when I was in such despair and had considered the same demise. And she said, often in the years I spent towards my healing many moons ago, I realized the mind and the heart can be extremely delicate without the foundation of a formidable spirit. She says, this is what blew me away. Yeah. What I eat, what I watch on TV, what music I listen to, how I care for my body, my spiritual practice, what people I surround myself with, the amount of stress I allow, and so on, either contribute or deteriorate my mental health. And this is the one that really got me. Mental health is a daily practice for me.
That's right.
And I it's like if you're not a therapist, most people in life don't have the experiences that you do, right? Alexis, I mean, you've spent years, on this subject and degrees and just all this stuff. And, you got us guys have no clue, right? And we start wondering, like, why does my life suck? Why is it that this is happening? And, sometimes it's like, I remember I said to someone one time, I do all that. Like, you gotta watch what you're you got to watch what you listen to and all that kind of stuff. I said, yeah, I do. I did that once. You know what I mean?
That one time.
Yeah, exactly.
I meditated that one time.
I brushed my teeth once, or I watered the flower once, and then we're wondering why it's dying.
Right.
And Jada Pinkett was saying it's a daily practice, and you guys know this. And this has been something that's really, really helped me, because even now, it's like every day I'm talking about a mind gym. I go to the gym in my mind every single day. Mm-hmm. I have to, or else I'm a mess.
Yeah.
I got six kids, one on the way.
Oh my goodness.
Got a wifey, and everything. I got to go out, trying to get this career going so I can support my family. It's just like the last thing I need is to not even believe in myself that I can do it.
That's right.
I'm in trouble. If I don't, and everything else. So it's been a learning experience for me, and I'm so grateful for it. And now, this music is like, just like a lot of the rappers say, I get people that approach me, and my manager says, "Hey, someone just sent a song to you. They want you to sing it." And I'll look at the lyrics first, and I'm like, do I want whatever I'm singing? Do I want to go through it?
Right.
If I don't want to go through it, I ain't gonna sing it.
Yeah, because it does have an impact on your mentality, and it is going to have an impact on your listeners as well. I don't think people really appreciate how much their environment contributes to their state of mind.
Yeah.
I don't know how people listen to angry, screaming music 24/7. So I have a couple of questions for you. Two of them, we're curious about what future projects you have coming up, and then if you could also just tell us some tips you have for other musicians as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the projects that I have coming up is I'm releasing an album. I'm re-releasing the single "Bend Not Break." And we're going to put it out for May, which is Mental Illness Month. Mm-hmm. And what I really want to do with that song is use it as a tool for therapists and for people to be able to find something out of it. Mm-hmm. I don't see myself as the answer, but I see myself as what I do in music as a tool.
You're like the outlet
under the belt. Yeah. Yes, of everything else that can be used. And I'm getting these amazing messages of therapists that literally, when they go into a hospital and someone who has attempted taking their life and they're just in a really bad way in the hospital, the first thing they'll do, they'll bring their laptop or tablet in and they'll show them my music video.
Oh gosh, that's interesting.
And then it gets them to somehow there's just this feeling, and it gets them to a place where almost like their heart is warmed to listen to more therapy and to more reasoning. Yeah. And that's just changing my life. I mean, I'm in tears a lot, the messages that I'm getting back from that. So my goal is to do more of that. Mm-hmm. But I got to realize I'm a musician. That's how I make my living as well. So, I'm going to be putting out, more albums and stuff like that. But the way that it's very, very different. Like, for example, even at my concerts now, I'll sing Bend Not Break, and I'll spend 5-10 minutes just talking about mental illness. Right. Then I go back into the rest of the entertainment. Uh-huh. So it's something that's going to be with me forever.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you're integrating this awareness of mental health into your work and through your platform that you have, both through your music and through your opportunities where you go out and you talk to all kinds of different people. And what kind of tips do you have for other musicians who might just be starting out and trying to find their creative path?
One of the things I'd say, and this might always sound weird, is that don't worry about getting paid for anything, at least when you start out. Because by golly, you got to make sure you get your face out, get your word out. You do everything, wedding, bar mitzvahs, flipping, whether there's 3 people or 4 people. But one thing I've always said is that it has to do with your performance, and what you do on stage will change everything that everybody else does who watches you. Right. You can affect people very, very powerfully. So instead of thinking, how can I get rich? How can I get famous? Just think, how can I use my music to bless people, to touch people? And I guarantee you will find so much more satisfaction and joy out of that than just doing music for the sake of being rich or famous or getting chicks, getting girls, guys. Because I did that too, and I was not happy. Right. So I remember I was reading something that it was a quote that says, sometimes we find ourselves climbing the ladder of success. Then when we get to the top, we're finding that we're leaning on the wrong side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do this thing. Don't do this thing to be rich or famous, because then you have no foundation. You'll bet when you bend, you will break,
right.
because you got to have these deep roots of like doing it for the right reasons, doing it for a blessing, not only for yourself but for others. And then when you get to the top, most of the time you find that those who are still up there, they're up there for a whole different reason. Like I remember watching Gladys Knight perform
mm-hmm.
one time, and she sang like it's the first time she ever performed.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. You could tell that love, that passion is still always there, like
yeah.
it was the first time. And that's a really, really powerful thing. You've got to let people see that you're enjoying what you're doing. And what happens is that you become a mirror to those people in the audience, and they'll enjoy it too.
Yeah. So you have to make sure you're creating work that you truly enjoy and that's truly meaningful
Absolutely.
to you. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Put
much.
out as much possible online.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Alex Boye. We're going to be connecting our listeners to your website, alexboye.com. That's ALEXBOYE.com. Thank you so much,
Yay.
Alex Boye, for your time.
Thank you.
So definitely make sure to take some time to visit witandreason.com to get links to the resources that we shared on today's show, and to connect with me, Dr. Alexis Moreno, and singer-songwriter Alex Boye. Did you hear something on the show today that you relate to on a personal level? Share your story. Send us your recording on witandreason.com/speakup, and we may be able to post it on our suicide prevention and music show page to help others navigate ways they can support suicide prevention efforts. A special thank you to DC Radio and Alex Boye. And of course, thank you all for listening. Stay posted on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Wit and Reason, and DC Radio for our next show. I'm Dr. Alexis Moreno. Let's keep the conversation going.
You've been listening to Wit and Reason with psychologist Dr. Alexis Moreno. For more information, visit witandreason.com.